So, Modha Rathri has been watched. Debut director Raja Karuppasamy has made one of the better first films in recent times. Comedy is his forte and he assembles an impressive ensemble to carry a deliberately thin plot. See, we often say some ideas look decent on paper, but it doesn't necessarily translate well. Interestingly, the idea of Madaratri might have seemed only half decent on paper, but the team gets it amazingly right by building layer over layer over layer over layer to ensure the clear cracks in the base is mostly masked by oodles of humor that is so very organic, so very authentic, and very extremely effective. Two people who haven't ever seen each other get married. Imagine Dum 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 and think both Madhavan and Jyotika didn't have that entire first half to get acquainted and just see each other in the marriage hall. Oh wait, Jyotika has done that in Sillin Oru Kadal. So, in a way, Modharatri is like a Sillin Oru Dum. Anyways, I had to let that joke get out of my system, and I promise you that Madaratri's sense of humor is far better than what I tried right now. So, Marudu, played by Rishikanth, and Muthu, played by Anishma, get married. Both have reasons to opt out of marriage. Both their families harbor secrets that mask something very ugly about their equation. There is misogyny, there is patriarchy, there is inherent casteism, there is unabashed oppression, there is economic disparity, and yet through it all, Raja Karpasamy understands that the thread that binds it all together is humor and never allows that to dip. Talking about the comedy in Madaratri, major points go not only to Raja Karpasamy, the writer-director, but also Raja Karpasamy, the actor. He's terrific in the film and his mere presence brings the roof down. In fact, it might not seem too much of a stretch to say that the entire first half is a showreel of sorts for the all-round talents of Raja Karpasamy, and it doesn't feel like an overreach simply because he gets it right. Be it the representation of his conscience, his self-muttering style of dialogue, his physical humor, and the self-deprecating style of comedy, wonderfully counterbalances the over-the-top comedy that comes through a couple of characters like terrific Abdool Lee and enterprising Bhagavati Perumal, and an entire bunch of actors who play off each other with so much confidence that you always have a smile on your face. Every actor in the ensemble, even the ones who might just have a single dialogue of the entire film, do their part amazingly well. Even Raja seems to have been smitten by the talented cast that he has, that there are times when he's too mesmerized with them and goes on detours that extend their welcome. We spend a bit too much time away from the lives of Marudu and Muthu, and that is where the wafer thin plot suddenly feels too wafery and too thin. It feels too stretched and some of the gags end up becoming repetitive. In fact, I started craving for some quiet, and that comes through in the scenes with Rishikanth, Anishma, and the ever dependable Chetan. Chetan, who is in the golden phase of his cinema career, plays a temple priest, a clairvoyant of sorts, and feels at home in both the loud portions and the quieter portions of the film. He also brings a spiritual element into Modharatri, which is a wonderful addition with the director, who uses it with superb restraint. On the performance front, it is a uniformly well acted film. Rishikanth brings in a superb vulnerability to a character that isn't always understood by anyone. The scene where he talks about loneliness and the scene where he realizes where his life is headed after marriage, Rishikanth is so on point. I know there is a nice comic side to his acting talent, and he gets the toughest job to do in a comedy, being the stoic, no nonsense guy who has to stay so to get the film to its right end. Anishma continues her good run in Tamil cinema and dials up the playfulness when needed, and kudos to the writing that gives her just a handful of dialogues and lets her eyes and silence do most of the talking. The more she keeps quiet, the more you are anticipating that burst, and when that finally happens, it is cathartic and yet it is still cinematic in a good way. See, that is the good thing about Madaratri. I mean, the film. There is never a dull moment, and yet it doesn't get overwhelming. Once again, easily one of the better star casts of 2026. Be it Shelley, Sangeeta, Sumitra Devi, A. Venkatesh, Varshini, Bhanupriya, Karthikeyan, Velan, and every other actor. Just wow. While the single shot sequences were a fairly decent attempt, the staging of the same could have been more inventive. But the cinematography by Surendran Paranjoti, apart from these early hiccups, does a really good work of giving us newer angles to look at, especially when we are looking at constricted spaces and confined emotions. Bharat Shankar's music takes care of keeping the adrenaline pumping and even dials up the fun whenever required. As the credits roll and every running gag finally comes to a beautiful close, Madaratri ends up becoming a marriage of all things right. And just like every other marriage in the world, there are a few things that just don't add up. But that's okay. Marriages aren't perfect. Marriage is a marathon, and Raja Karuppasamy and team have gotten off the blocks really, really well. That's it from this video review episode. Do like, share, and subscribe to Avinash Ramachandran Talkies.